Hi, everyone. Welcome to Module 8. In this module, you'll be asked to complete a summary and evaluation assignment and to develop an outline for your humor argument essay. Please note that there is not a discussion this week. So in the module, you'll see resources that will help you with a summary and evaluation assignment. There's a website titled How to Write a Summary by Washington State University. And then you'll see two videos. There's a video titled How to Write a Summary and another video titled Evaluating Web Resources. And so these resources will help you complete the summary and evaluation assignment. You will see a table that looks like this, where you'll see a term and definition, and then a column to add your answer. So for instance, the first row asks you to write a summary that describes the author's points. And in the right side of the table, in the white area, that's where you should develop your summary. And so you should write a 1-paragraph summary of a humor article that you read last week, one that you annotated. Make sure that you include the title, author, main idea, and main points of the source. You're summarizing the main points, not the details. Typically, it's best in the first sentence of a summary to include the title of the piece, the author's name, and the main idea. This helps the reader be able to tell that you're summarizing someone else's ideas. Could be a sentence like, in title of the article, the author's name describes this main idea. Then you go on to summarize the main points that the author shares. And so try to condense what you've read into a 1-paragraph summary. This will help you in many of your other classes, learning how to write a strong summary paragraph. For instance, if you take English 1110 next, in that course, you're asked to write a research paper, and your research paper should include at least 5 sources. And so it's a great idea to be able to know how to summarize those sources so that you can learn how to integrate other people's ideas into your own writing while avoiding plagiarism. Then in the other rows, you'll see different topics to consider, like the timeliness of the source, when it was published, the author and what you can find about them online, also the evidence that the author is including. And so when you watch the video titled Evaluating Web Sources, you'll learn about how important it is to evaluate any source that you use for college writing. So we're going to start developing a humor argument assignment this week, and you'll be asked to include evidence from one of the humor articles you've read. It is important that we evaluate that source first so we can decide, is this writer's ideas trustworthy? Can I use them as support for my own writing? Or do I see a lot of weaknesses here and I might use this source and kind of critique it in my own writing? You know, like some people may say this, but here's a problem that I see with it. And so you're really using critical thinking here and really considering strengths and weaknesses of one of the sources that you've read. And ideally, it's one that you've annotated. So you can go back and look at your annotations and evaluate the piece. After that, you'll see an ungraded activity titled Traditional Structure Activity. This is in our course because this week we're moving into more of kind of academic writing. So with project 1, we focused on narrative writing, personal narratives, which is a certain kind of genre in which we're describing our experiences, learning how to include details so that people can understand our experiences. We're shifting now into a more formal type of writing, where we're writing an argument and we're trying to convince people to agree with us. Typically in formal writing, we have this kind of structure where we have an introduction paragraph that will grab the reader's attention with a hook. It will start broad, maybe with a really interesting question or a statistic that you've read in a piece, and then include some background information to discuss that hook and narrow into a thesis or a main idea, where we make an argument. Then there will be body paragraphs, and each body paragraph should include a topic sentence that makes a point and supports our main idea, specific examples, explanation, research, and a concluding sentence. You do not need to use the 5-paragraph structure that you might have used in high school, possibly. That structure is helpful, but in college, it's okay to have 2 body paragraphs. It's okay to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as many as are needed for however complicated a subject might be. And so with this argument, we're thinking about making a main idea, right? Making a main argument and having at least 2 body paragraphs to support that argument. If you have 1 body paragraph, that's all right, but I would encourage you to push yourself and have at least 2 body paragraphs where you discuss maybe 2 reasons to support your argument, or a reason to support your argument, and then an alternate perspective and what you think about that alternate perspective. Then you'll want a conclusion where we restate the thesis, the main idea, and we can summarize our points if we'd like, but we want to leave the reader with an interesting, maybe critical question to consider, or a vivid image to think about, or we can have a call to action where we encourage readers to do something, but we want to end in an interesting way. And so by going through this activity, you're going to see some examples of a hook, a thesis statement, some topic sentences, also how to restate a thesis. And so as you're going through this, kind of think about what you're seeing and how you might apply it to your own writing. Then you'll see the instructions for the humor argument essay. In this module, you can start developing a rough draft, but we will hold off and we'll share our rough draft with our classmates next week. What we will do is develop an outline for the essay. And so make sure to read the instructions, that you understand fully what you're asked to write. And notice that there are 3 choices, and you only want to choose one of these choices. So these are the ideas you've been thinking about with your pre-writing assignment. These are ideas that the articles are exploring as well, articles you annotated. And so I would suggest choosing one of these 3 topics that you think maybe you find most interesting, or you've read the most information about it, or you can think of your own examples. So choose which one stands out to you. Again, you don't have to develop your essay this week, but once you complete your outline, if you'd like to go ahead, you can. But keep in mind, you'll be asked to write an essay that's at least 600 words in length. It can be more than 1,000, but it needs to be at least 600. And ultimately, we want to include at least 1 quote, paraphrase, or summary from one of the humor articles we've read. We also want to place our essay in MLA format, right? And we want to think about that structure of an academic essay. So this week you're asked to write an outline for your humor argument assignment. Remember, you're just choosing one of the 3 choices, right? Don't choose all 3, just choose one. And there's a sample outline to help you think about your own. So ideally, you'll have an introduction that includes a hook that grabs the reader's attention. And then you'll think about the background information you'll include to help your readers understand the topic and to transition to your main idea or your thesis statement. Notice that this example is color-coded. And so the person here who wrote this has a main idea and a blue point, right, that they're going to explore in the first body paragraph. And then the second point in green, they're going to explore in the second body paragraph. And so they have topic sentences, right, that they'll be making for their points. And they're also thinking about including quotes, right, or paraphrases or summaries to support their ideas, thinking about their own personal examples they can include. And so you can use this example outline to help you, but make sure you just choose one of the topics, right, and kind of think about what you might explain, what you might include in your argument. When you write your argument next week, it's okay if you change this up a little bit, right? It's okay if you decide, well, I'd like to adjust my point to this other point instead, or I'd like to include this evidence instead. But this gives you a good plan so that next week when you start developing your essay, you'll have kind of a checklist, right? You'll know I'm going to include these things in my introduction. And then in my body paragraph 1, I'm going to include this topic sentence, and I'm going to include these examples, and I'm going to explain my perspective on this. Okay. So after that, you'll see the module checklist, and like all other modules, it's just here to make sure you've completed all of the tasks. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to help you. I hope you have a terrific week. Take care.